Hello again. This is Lew. There's a big debate going on continually, mostly in seminaries, that the Natsarim writings were originally written in Greek. They don't appear until the 3rd century, actually. And that was there was a reason for that, because they weren't speaking Greek. And I wanted to make this video make that point, because they were really speaking Hebrew, what we know as Hebrew, in their own language. Paul described the language of Yahusha that he spoke to him when he was blinded. He was on the way to Damascus, and Paul was knocked down, him and all of his companions that were traveling with him, and he heard a voice speaking to him, Shaul, Shaul, why do you kick against the goads? In other words, the prodding, And Paul was arresting Natsarim in the places where they were speaking the name. And he said that he spoke to him in the Hebrew, or what was then known as the Yahudith language. That's the name of the language that they speak, not Greek. Yahusha spoke to him not in Greek, and he says so. And that was at Acts 26, verse 14, as he's explaining it. He specifically said it was what we see today as the word Hebrew. He wasn't saying anything in Greek. Paul requested in another place where there was a giant riot, and the commander that was arresting Paul to protect him, really, heard something strange coming out of Paul's mouth. Paul was requesting the commander permission to speak to the throngs, the crowds. And the commander said, "What? You speak Greek?" He was totally shocked. That commander was a Roman soldier. And he was shocked that Paul could speak Greek. And you can read this at Acts 21, verse 37. Now, when Paul addressed the rioters, after he was given permission to speak to them, they all quieted down as he spoke to them in their own language. And it says he was speaking in the Hebrew language. Now, that would have, in that day, been called Yahudith, the Yahudith language, the language of the Yahudim. The oldest Greek documents, and you can confirm this by research, are 3rd century, and they were translated from Ibri, which is the writings of the Hebrew. That's the real word, Ibri, the script and language and culture of Eber. We have another video that you can watch about the word Ibri. It's from it's taken as Hebrew now. And it was translated, these Greek documents were translated into the language of those living in the wider regions, which was Greek. So, and over 22,000 individual documents actually exist in Greek. And that's the reason that most teachers today say that, oh yeah, the followers of Yahusha were writing these letters in Greek. But they weren't. That would have been kind of counterproductive, because they're all speaking Hebrew. And there's no two sentences in the Greek in these 22,000 plus documents that actually match exactly. There's not any two sentences. That means that it was translated by men who were interpreting in the Greek language from the Greek language over the centuries. And they appear over the following centuries, confirming that the Greek is a translation. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, there was found in 1947 a copy of Matthew, that's Matthew, written entirely in Ibri, or Hebrew. However, the Jesuit scroll team has not yet allowed the world to view it. I haven't seen it. I've been waiting for it for many, many decades. The work of creating a concordance for each word in that document was finished by 1953. And that was based upon an article I read in the BAR, Archaeological Magazine, where there was a Jesuit priest interviewed, and he admitted that he'd worked on that scroll and finished working on it by 1953. The Hebrew document of Matityahu. Now, it's certain that no words that are commonly used today by Christianity will appear in that document. J-E-S-U-S it first appeared in the 16th century. So his name isn't J-E-S-U-S. Why would it be? That's a Greek. Well, that's not even Greek. It's a nonsense word. It's based upon the Latin Vulgate's I-E-S-V or I-E-S-U, Esu, and that's Latin, and that's why the King James first edition shows it as I-E-S-V in the first edition. J-E-S-U-S is not in the King James first edition. The false gospel has been dominating the whole world since Constantine, and the truth sounds ridiculous to those under its influence. Another interesting tidbit concerning related to Hebrew is Aaron's headpiece of pure gold. The golden headpiece that was worn by the high priest was fabricated during the years after the Exodus, the original thing. It was written in Hebrew, that's Hebrew, script, and it was transliterated Kodesh le-Yahuwah, meaning set apart to Yahuwah. The high priest wore this with these blue ribbons around his turban, fastened to the outside of it. It was not written in Aramaic or Aramaic, the script that we brought back from Babel that was taught as Hebrew today. You're shown Hebrew. You're not shown Hebrew, you're shown Aramaic, the script of our captors. Now, an eyewitness described seeing this gold headpiece. It was pure gold, and it was written in Hebrew. The original Hebrew in the time of the Exodus. Now, the original headpiece existed well into the first century, and Yusuf bin Matityahu, who is also known as Flavius Josephus, that's an impossible word. There's no J. Anyway, he wrote as an eyewitness to having seen it, and it had 4 vowels for the name, and he describes it. I'm going to read a translation of his words. The book that he wrote was called The Wars of the Yahudim. The following is a translation describing the headpiece of pure gold worn by the high priest, which was originally made just after the Exodus from Egypt. Now, Yusuf bin Matityahu, they call him Joseph or Josephus by modern scholars, is the first century author of the Wars of the Yahudim. And here's the quote. Quote, a turban, also of fine linen, encompassed his head. That's the high priest, Aaron, and the subsequent high priest, which was tied with a blue ribbon, about which there was another golden crown, in which was engraved the Kodesh name. It consists of 4 vowels. That would be Yod, He, Ua, He. They're not consonants. However, the high priest did not wear these garments at all at other times, but a more plain garment. He only did it when he went into the most Kodesh part of the temple. That would be where the Ark of the Covenant was located, which he did but once a year, on that day when our custom is for us to keep the fast to Elohim. Unquote. He only went in there on the 10th day of the 7th month. And you should see details about the engraved plate in an interlinear translation at Leviticus, or Uikra, chapter 8. That's Leviticus chapter 8, interlinear. Or some more information at Shemoth, or Exodus chapter 28. Yahusha told us we would not see him again until we said, Baruch haba b'shem Yahuwah. That was written at Matthew 23, verse 39. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.